magsulong ng edukasyong may kaligtasan.
Sayatin natin ang pag-asa ng bayan, nawang tumigil at magpatuloy lamang. Walang pandemya ang makakahadlang sa mga nag-aaral na gustong matuto sa iba't ibang paraan.
Ang kabataan ng siyang bukas, edukasyon ang siyang magliligtas mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling makaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa. Sabay-sabay ahon at sama-sama magbalik eskwela.
Hikayatin natin ang pag-asa ng bayan, na huwag tumigil at magpatuloy lamang. Walang kanyang makakahadlang sa mag-aaral na gusto matuto sa iba't ibang paraan.
Ang kabataan ng siyang bukas, edukasyon ang siyang magliligtas mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa. Sabay-sabay, sabay-sabay ahon at sasama magbalik eskwela. Magsama-sama magbalik eskwela. Magbalik eskwela. Tara na, enroll na, la 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 la. Tara na, enroll na, la 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 la. Pagkaalala ay di maiiwasan, kaya't tuman ka't ito'y pinaghahandaan. Handang bawat guro at paaralan, magsulong ng edukasyong may kaligtasan.
Sayatin natin ang pag-asa ng bayan, nawang tumigil at magpatuloy lamang. Walang pandemya ang makakahadlang sa mga nag-aaral na gustong matuto sa iba't ibang paraan.
Ang kabataan ng siyang bukas, edukasyon ang siyang magliligtas mula sa takot at pangamba na dala itong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa. Sabay-sabay ahon at sama-sama magbalik eskwela.
Hikayatin natin ang pag-asa ng bayan, na huwag tumigil at magpatuloy lamang. Walang pandemyang makakahadlang sa mag-aaral gusto matuto sa iba't ibang paraan.
Ang kabataan ng siyang bukas, edukasyon ang siyang magliligtas mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa mula sa takot at Sabay-sabay,
Sabay-sabay,
sabay-sabay ahon at sama-sama magbalik eskwela. Magsama-sama magbalik eskwela. Magbalik eskwela. Tara na, enroll na, la 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 la. Tara na, enroll na, la 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 la. Pag-aalala ay di maiwasan, kaya tuman ka't ito'y pinaghahandaan. Handa ang bawat guro at paaralan, magsurang edukasyong may kaligtasan.
Sayatin natin ang pagka ng bayan, lawang hinigil at magpatuloy lamang. Walang panderya ang makakahadlang sa pag-aaral na gustong matuto sa iba't ibang paraan.
Ang kabataan ng siyang bukas, edukasyon ng siyang magliligtas mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa. Sabay-sabay ahon at sama-sama magbalik eskwela.
Siyatin natin ang pag-asa ng bayan, na huwag tumigil at magpatuloy lamang. Walang pandemyang magkakahadlang sa mag-aaral na matuto sa iba't ibang paraan.
Ang kabataan ng siyang bukas, edukasyon ng siyang magliligtas mula sa pangamba na dala nitong pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa. Sabay-sabay, sabay-sabay ahon at sama-sama magbalik eskwela. Magsama-sama magbalik eskwela. Magbalik eskwela. Tara na, enroll na, la 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 la. Tara na, enroll na, la 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 la. Pag-aalala ay di maiwan, kaya tuman kato'y pinaghahandaan. Ang bawat guro at paaralan, magsulong ng edukasyong may kaligtasan.
Sayatin natin ang pag-asa ng bayan, lawang hinigil at magpatuloy lamang. Walang pandemya ang makakahadlang sa pag-aaral na gustong matuto sa iba't ibang paraan.
Ang kabataan ng siyang bukas, edukasyon ng siyang magliligtas mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa mula sa takot at Sabay-sabay ahon at sama-sama magbalik kailan.
Hikayatin natin ang pag-asa ng bayan na huwag tumigil at magpatuloy lamang. Walang pandemyang magkakahadlang sa pag-aaral na gusto matuto sa iba't ibang paraan.
Ang kabataan ng siyang bukas, edukasyon ng siyang magliligtas mula sa takot at pamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa. Sabay-sabay, sabay-sabay ahon at sama-sama magbalik eskwela. Magsama-sama magbalik eskwela. Magbalik eskwela. Tara na, enroll na, la 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 la. Tara na, enroll na, la 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 la. Pag-aalala'y di maiiwasan, kaya tuman ka't ito'y pinaghahandaan. Handa ang bawat guro at paaralan, magsulong ng edukasyong may kaligtasan.
Sayatin natin ang pag-asa ng bayan na huwag tumigil at magpatuloy lamang. Walang pandemya ang makakahadlang sa pag-aaral na gustong matuto sa iba't ibang paraan.
Ang kabataan ng siyang bukas, edukasyon ng siyang magliligtas mula sa takot pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa. Sabay-sabay ahon at sama-sama magbalik eskwela.
Hikayatin natin ang pag-asa ng bayan na huwag tumigil at magpatuloy lamang. Walang pandemya magkakahadlang sa mag-aaral na gusto matuto sa iba't ibang paraan.
Ang kabataan ng siyang bukas, edukasyon ng siyang magliligtas mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa mula sa takot at pangamba na dala nitong pandemya. Muling magkakaisa upang magkaroon ng pag-asa. Sabay-sabay, sabay-sabay ahon at sama-sama magbalik eskwela. Magsama-sama magbalik eskwela. Magbalik eskwela. Tara na, enroll na, la 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 la. Tara Sulong ng edukasyong may kaligtasan.
Sayatin natin ang tasa ng bayan. Lawang sinigil at
Hiano as your facilitator under the headship of our school principal, Madam Eunice Ann Puguon. So mga kasama ko po na na-identify for doing these preliminaries, please be ready po. Next slide na. Okay. So may we start with a quotation from William Blake's, "Great things are done when men and mountains meet." Ayan. So kahit na maraming humaharang na kahoy, maayos naman ang ating mga signal sa awa ng Diyos. Kaya we can do great things for this last day of our webinar. To formally start, we have here the preliminary parts. The nationalistic song will be presented by one of our master teacher one. I'm sorry, she's master teacher 2 of Halyap National High School, Ma'am Marieta Palay. So, Ma'am Marieta,
Asipulo National High School, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Asipolo National High School. Please take it away.
Let's all rise then. Ang bayan ko'y tanging ikaw, Pilipinas ko mahal, ang suko at ay man sa iyo ibigay, tungkulin ko'y gagampanan, na lagi kang paglingkuran, ang laya mo'y babantayan, Pilipinas kong hirang. It's done, Ma'am Jenny. Ma'am Jenny.
Good morning po, ma'am. The headset po.
Yan, meron na.
Hello, sound check po.
Good morning po, ma'am.
Okay na, sound check, okay na po ulit?
Po, ma'am. Okay po.
Okay na.
Okay. So, once again, thank you very much, Ma'am Marieta Palay, Master Teacher 2 of Asipolo National High School.
Yes, ma'am.
Moving on to the prayer by Ma'am Mary Reyna Changiwan, Master Teacher 1 of Lamot Central School. Please take it away, Ma'am Mary.
Okay. May we humble down ourselves in prayer. Dear God, thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. May you bestow your blessings after this webinar so that we may go out and spread what we have learned in the spirit of your love and generosity. May we realize that this activity should glorify your name. This we ask through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you very much, Ma'am Mary Changiwan. So, moving on to our attendance check by Ma'am Sonia, Master Teacher 1 of Lawig National High School. Hello, Ma'am Sonia. Are you there? Ma'am Sonia, please take it away.
935458285.
Hello, Ma'am Sonia. Ma'am Sonia, please go ahead with the attendance checking.
Di ba kita doon? Ang si ano ito?
Nako. Kumusta na, Ma'am Sonia? Okay na po ba yung signal nyo dyan? Active naman si Ma'am Sonia.
Hello.
Ma'am Sonia. Nako. Who can take over? Mukhang kakaroon ng technical problem ang ating tinatawagan.
Lawig.
Hello po. Andiyan niya? Ay, inaayos pa lang daw po yung nagko-connect po kasi medyo yun nga nagkakaroon ng attendance nagkakaroon ng problem ng technical dito sa amin. So meanwhile, Ma'am Elmalin Labio, please get ready for the recap. Our fourth day of the seminar is indeed the most awaited part because we are ending our webinar today so that we will be preparing for our next task in preparation of our opening of classes in October 5. So that mag-sign on lang po Ma'am Sonia kung ready na. So that teachers are indeed very busy for lots of things in preparation for the upcoming October 5. No? So antay-antay lang po tayo ng konti. And our apology for the gap. Dito. Pwedeng kunin mo. Recap. Nagpa-fluctuate daw ang signal niya eh. Yun. Pwede bang pa-music, Sir Jason, while waiting? Thank you very much sa assistance ng kasama ko dito, si Sir Jason. Ay, ayan, sige. Andiyan na si Ma'am Sonia, dumating na dito sa hall. Okay, so, ano, meron kang isasaksak or, oh, halika. Ayan, once again, let's welcome our fellow participant, Ma'am Sonia, for the attendance checking. Nagtakbo talaga siya dito sa ating lugar para lang mahabol. Okay. Si Jason, ano, naka-connect na ulit siya? Ay, ako rin Ma'am Elma,
Hello everyone. Oh, naghabol ako. Okay. We are tasked to check the attendance for today's session. All right, well, I will start with this. As I call on your division, you may on your videos and say hi or hello. Okay. The school's division of Abra.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Present.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello,
Good
ma'am.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Schools division of Apayao. Schools division of Baguio.
Good morning. Good morning, ma'am.
Schools division of Benguet.
Hello.
Hello.
Morning.
Hi. Good
Hello.
morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, good morning from Benguet.
From
Schools
Benguet.
division of Bontoc. Schools division of Ifugao.
Agio.
Good morning.
Hello. Morning po.
Hi.
Agio. Wow.
Okay. Ifugao. Okay. Schools division of Tabuk.
Ang baluwe, bigbigat ta ulosan.
Hi.
Oh, good morning po. Good morning. Good morning po.
Morning,
Good morning po from
ma'am.
Tabuk
Schools
City.
division of Kalinga. Hello. Schools division of Mountain Province.
Hello. Hello, ma'am. Hello po.
Yay. Any division that I missed? Oh, and of course, we shall not forget our speakers and facilitators. Hello po.
Mdisiin ko yung
And to everyone
good morning.
watching via Facebook streaming. Thank you very much.
Hello, okay pa ba yung ating microphone? Thank you, Madam Sonia, for doing the task, the checking of attendance. Saan na tayo? Ayan. So, Ma'am Sonia is my colleague here at Lawig National High School. So, moving on. We will have the recap by Ma'am Elmalin Labio. I hope you're able to find your way through connecting to the link which is given to us by region for you to do your recap. She is a master teacher 1 of Pinto National High School po. Please take it away, Ma'am Elma. Or else, Ma'am Sonia. Pag hindi tayo makakonect kay Ma'am Elma, Ma'am Sonia, kindly take over. Ay, Madam Isabel. Or anyone who could help us for the recap in our SDO po na medyo malakas ang signal. If Ma'am Elmalin Labio could not enter the link, she is just having a message here na disconnect daw po siya sa Microsoft Teams na link. Si Ma'am Elmalin. So, yung mga kasama ko po na taga-SDOE Fugao, who could please take over for the recap. Ayan, nag-message ang Ma'am Elmalin. Pas-save po, ayaw talaga sabi. So, how's that, Sir Jason? I would like to acknowledge my assistants here, si Sir Jason. Kaya kami umuusad naman. So, pinapasave ni Ma'am Elmalin Labio ang kanyang recap. Ayan. Ano? Anong sabi? Puro hold on, ma'am. Lumalabas. Nako. Talagang technical problem tayo. And I guess I would like to request yung mas malapit sa akin, ang nag-attendance check, to please do the recap, on the spot recap. Muli nating babalikan si Ma'am Sonia Lonyes, Master Teacher 1 of Lawig National High School for the recap. Thank you very much, Ma'am Sonia, for being there.
Hello once again. Oh, I think I am the savior today.
Okay naman.
Okay, yesterday, we were able to listen to our speakers on the understanding the comprehensive sexuality education. And this is an eye-opener to us on the even dealing with health concern of our students. There are much learning that we have learned, especially on sexuality education and health concerns of our students. These are very important when we also deal with our students, especially during this pandemic time. There is no so much thing to say on the lesson yesterday. They will be helpful they are helpful to us in our teaching and learning process this school year on this challenging time. Thank you. I'm Jen.
Ayan. Ayan po ang recap natin from Ma'am Sonia. As to the introduction of the speaker, I guess it will be the task of our organizing team from DepEdCar region. And before we end, may we have a quotation from the late Ma'am Gina Lopez, who happens to be the former Secretary of Environment and Natural Resources. As long as people care enough, love enough, and work together, our country will have the future we aspire for. For the future belongs to those who believe enough to do. So we'll do our responsibilities para sa bayan, higit sa lahat para sa bata. To our DepEdCar Regional Director, Madam May Eclar, along with Sir Teng, who prefers to be called Sir Teng or Lolo Teng, the organizing team from the regional office, to my Schools Division Superintendent, Madam Benedicta Gamatero, and my school head, Ma'am Eunice Ann Puguon. This is Jennifer Hiano signing off for the preliminaries to give way for the sessions this morning. So once again, isang mataginting na umaga po sa ating lahat. Akin pong binabalik ang mikropono sa ating mga organizing team sa DepEdCar. Thank you very much, and once again, Hagiyo po from SDO Ifugao.
Maraming salamat, SDO Ifugao, for our preliminaries or the MOL. And before we will start, may I just, saglit lang ha, na DJ share screen dito Sir Kermit.
Ay, so ganyan na yun, sir. I-delete sana
Sorry,
natin.
apay nakamute ak gayam. Sorry, nakamute pala ako. Thank you so much, SDO Ifugao, for the preliminaries or MOL. And before we'll proceed with the session, may I remind again everybody to switch off or turn off the microphone, no? Our microphone when not speaking, kasi nasasagap po lahat ng noise. And this is to avoid distraction during the session, ano? And then for our video, it is optional, but however, when you take your snacks, kindly turn it off, ano? Yun po. Sir Kermit? Sir Kermit? Sir Kermit? Sir Wiley? Andyan na si Sir? Naka-ready na nga, Rod? So that I will start the introduction. Okay, sige. Move. Let's move. Moving on. Let's keep the ball rolling. So, once again, naimpagngagsapa kada tayo amin, fellow educators. It's a great pleasure to introduce to you our speaker this morning, who is going to talk about promoting resiliency amid pandemic. This is a topic which should all be interested because it is by enriching ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually as we face the twists and turns brought about by the pandemic. Our speaker, having spent most of his entire career as a guidance counselor and a professor in one of the known universities in Baguio City, continues to extend his service in the public sector. After his retirement at the University of the Cordilleras, his commitment and passion drove him to become a family member of DepEd. Due to his expertise, he is always being invited to speak in the different agencies in any parts of Benguet and even CAR. As described by the people he had been or dealt with, that when he delivers his talk, He speaks from the heart, thus touches the heart and soul of his audience, and a man of virtue. At present, he is the guidance counselor of Cordillera Regional Science High School. Fellow educators, please join me in welcoming our speaker, Sir Rolando Malafo. Yes. And Sir Roland, your turn. I will turn over the screen to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And good morning to everyone. I am so privileged frontliners in the education sector. I am so glad that I am here with you this morning, and I hope that the things we are going to talk about would be something that will help us all, especially in this situation that we are in difficult times. We call it the pandemic, we call it the COVID, we call it, we are in this together, and therefore going through this together, and we are going to conquer it together. This morning, I was tasked to give a sharing about resiliency amid the pandemic. I think are facing educators right now, not only educators but in every sector. I mean, would be our wellness and mental health. Let me just start by sharing to you my slide. Open, open it to you, Arlie. This is my first time to use a slide of the virus. They call it coronavirus because it looks like the edges of this a kind of a fatty tissue or lipid, may lipid siya. Ayun, ay may corona, kaya coronavirus ang tawag. And here we will be talking about wellness and resiliency amid the pandemic. Why why I included wellness? Because it is very important na hindi lang po ang ating mental health ang iniisip
Napakarawan
natin,
magayam, di ba?
but it is
Katrilyon na ya, Saint Paul
may mga
katan.
nakakamute. May mga kinakamute pa.
Ay, just sakit si...
Okay, just for a while, let's just put our one. So, while pakicheck. Ayun. Why wellness? Because it has to be holistic. And resiliency because it is one trait that makes the Filipinos very distinct among all races. And the pandemic is something that affects the resiliency as well as the wellness of each and everyone. I hope that this sharing will help us all, and let us start. Okay, I will start with statistics, or just a short of looking at what is the situation at this time. Dun sa happiness index, if you are going to look into Google something about the happiness index, ang rank po ng Pilipinas when it comes to happiness, we are number 69 among 156 countries. Yes. And in Asia, we are the third happiest when ranked against its neighbors. Ang number one dyan is, in Asia, is Singapore, pero number 34 siya. And Thailand, which is number 52. Tayo po, number 69. So somehow, when it comes to resiliency, wow, nandun tayo sa first third. Yan, 69, first half, sorry. Almost half of the 156. Okay? Half na lang siguro. Nandun tayo sa 50% of those who are happy when it comes to resiliency. But what makes it more difficult is that it is a disheartening issue when we listen and hear about news of some people looking at their lives as meaningless or useless. And I think what that means when they go into depression and something like looking at their life as wala nang silbi, ganon. And so we have some rates of not only among young people but even lahat ng ages. We would find some people ending their lives prematurely, getting their life within their hands. And ito po ang kailangan nating bantayan, not only among our learners but even to us as teachers. Okay? This is the 29 World Happiness Report. Okay, because we have been through pandemics actually. This is not the first pandemic. Maybe it just happened within our lifetime. Oh, there were lots of pandemics in the past. The most popular was the bubonic plague or the black plague, as you can see it in history, which cost about 600 million people, including the Philippines. Reports would say, I did not have the slide included here, but in so many of my presentations in the past, I had included the number of deaths per pandemic. And the latest actually is this, the COVID-19 situation. Every time that there's a pandemic, there's what we call as a wave 1. Okay? Medyo popular ang word na ito, yung mga wave na yan. Ano? May first wave, second wave. But let's look at it in this context. Yung wave 1 na yan, when the pandemic struck, all of us have been so much affected. And I'm going to share to you in the meantime. The second wave that affects us all was, of course, the economic crisis. The economic in the sense that I think you know that last month or 2 months ago, nag-declare ang Philippines na we are under recession. So that's what we call as economic crisis. But one of the things that I would like us to look into is the next wave, which will affect many of us if we would not know how to arrest and address or manage, which is what we call as the mental health crisis. See, mental health crisis, very important. And I'm appreciating the organizers, those who work behind the establishment of the inclusion of a topic like this. I believe this is the fourth day of your seminar workshop. And you can see that they have included this because it's very important. At inilagay pa sa last. Okay? Memory would say that ang mga bagay-bagay na nasa utak natin ay kung hindi yung una, yun yung panghuli. Latency and recency. That's why I was maybe placed last, because I would like, they would like every one of us to recall this topic whenever after this seminar, and then whenever and whatever or wherever you will be going, this would be placed into our hearts and minds. Okay? Now, how is this pandemic affecting or impacting our mental health? Okay? Yan, number 1 po dyan is yung nai-stress tayo. You see, di ba? Nai-stress tayo in the sense that there are lots of reports that pops out not only in our cell phone monitors, but whenever we open the radio or we tune in radio, and on the TV, and you can see lots and lots of stressful, not only stressful but discouraging reports about what's happening within this pandemic or amid this pandemic. And there's so many unknowns about the virus. I think latest was sinabi nila na kunada mo nga mas kami. So tapos kunada nga ang kanu nga importante ti mas. Kunada mo nga ag face shield kami. Bagada nga hanggayam kanumot laang nga protection facial. And so paiba-iba. There are so many unknowns about the virus. And then we can see that the virus right now not only has spread throughout the whole world, we can see that the effect of it na hindi naman pala deadly kasi ang recovery rate marami-rami. So marami yan. And there are so many issues that's coming out. And there are so many unknowns about the virus. I think all you personally would have something to share if we would have this time to allow everyone to share na adutin nadamag ko kasi kano. See, many unknowns about the virus. And what would be the effect of that? Di ba naman minsan masisirang araw, nagmetial daw, dagiti nga, gano'n, ang news. And then we can see mga doon sa message thread, sa comment down, kita mo kong comments da, may mga with sense, meron ding mga nonsense, meron ding mga out of sense, di ba? Ayan. So, nakaka-stress. So, it's affecting us. And then, the rapidly changing regulations and recommendations regarding social contact. Okay? Paiba-iba. Kunada, mabalinan. Okay? Tapos bigla nga ako na, ay, lockdown gaya. See? After that, na-quarantine. So, it's about affecting our emotions, and that is causing so many of us to undergo some form of stress. You see? And then, kaya kailangan natin ang importansya ng mental health. Because you see, when we undergo intense or continuous stress, I don't know if you have been an audience in so many of my previous talks when I was talking about stress. Lahat po ang alam natin sa stress is negative, di ba? May mga positive, natutulong din ang stress actually. Okay, may positive stress at may negative stress. Okay? Yan, yung positive stress ay yung like if you did not stress yourself to wake up, then you could not have been here in our webinar today. If you did not stress yourself to eat, you could not have been nabusog, hindi ka siguro nabusog. If you did not stress yourself to study so that you are able to pass your exams, ganun. So, yun ang mga positive stress. Pero yung mga negative, yung positive na yung tinatawag na eustress. Yung negative, yun ang tinatawag na distress. And if you would be undergoing several of these distresses, especially if it is intense or continuous, okay? Kung hindi man intense yan, continuous pa, what will happen? Either you will cope with it, depende on how your coping mechanisms are really built in or intact. And I'm happy that many of us have a good coping mechanisms. Yung iba would have differently responded to that. Kaya yung iba, they cannot cope and they cannot manage. What will be the effect of that? Psychological distress. You see? Psychological distress. And worst things come to worst when you go into what we call as depression. I think you know what I'm talking about when you hear these words. Now, but let us look at it one by one. Pag sinabi kasing psychological distress, this is involving your emotions, yung nararamdaman mo, yung kalagayan ng kalagayan ng nararamdaman mo. Are you emotionally suffering? See? And these are symptoms of depression when you go into sadness, loss of interest. Are you having that experience yourself? Okay? Or you have been having some restlessness. Restlessness, di ayo, ang kumawawatan, iti rikrik na, you go into anxiety. See? And of course, somatic symptoms. Di ang kang makatulog, yung natutupad na sa iyo yung awit na di na makatulog, di na makakain, okay? Tagyawat sa ilong, pati na sa pisngi. I am talking about these things because these are somatic symptoms. Adaji ko natin, I'm having some headaches. Okay? Adaji tension headaches nga ko natin. So this will affect our emotions. Nuhaan nga mayat itirik-rik naam. What will happen? Eh, syempre, you are in psychological distress. And if you would allow that to happen for a longer period of time, you will not be able to manage. You will not be able to have some coping mechanisms and coping strategies for this. You will go into psychological distress, or you are under emotional suffering. And of course, the rest is the thing that you are going to experience. Okay? Now, makikita natin dito na nagsisimula kasi yan sa ating pag-iisip. Okay? What are you thinking right now? What you are thinking right now will affect actually what you feel. Okay? Kung ano yung naisip mo ngayon, yun yung naaapektuhan niya ang inyong feelings, ang inyong nararamdaman. And your feelings would be manifested by your behaviors. And your behaviors are the ones that are being observed. Kaya kung minsan nakikita niyo yung mga kasama natin, you've got to understand, idikalman, ang saya-saya niya, nagmayat iti katawa na. Pero kabigatan, sumurukti man di pagtrabahuan, haan niya agsasao. Okay? May nangyari. mayroon siyang tinatawag na pinagdadaanan. Kaya dapat alam natin kung ano yung hugot niya. Nyata ti panunuton na. Siguro di panunuton na, it is affecting his or her emotions. That's why his behavior is like that. Are you taking? I hope that you are taking the analogy here. So in other words, this is not a cycle, by the way, but this is an interacting, okay, dynamics among the thoughts, the emotions, and behaviors. So your thoughts are affecting your emotions and vice versa. Your thoughts are even affecting your emotions and vice versa, as well as your behaviors are affecting your moods and emotions. So nakita mo dito nga example, di ba? Yan. So, sorry. Dito man lang nun. Ayan. So, psychological distress. If you are in psychological distress, there you have it. It is an indicator of your mental health. So, how mentally healthy are we this morning? Okay? That is something we really have to think about. And I hope that as we go through this morning's activity, you will be able to understand how these dynamics of thoughts, behaviors, and moods are affecting me, especially so that we are in difficult times of the pandemic. So number one was stress. What else is impacting our mental health, especially on this pandemic? Number two is the disrupted routines. Ayan. Before the pandemic, we have had what we call as routine activities. When you say routine, day in, day out, iso day TJ, araminan tayo, inaldaw. Okay? But because of this pandemic, our routines has now become less structured. I'm going to show it in a little while. Another one is the schedule has changed, or the schedule is changing. You see, although by this time we are able to we are trying to go back to what is normal, but the schedule has changed drastically, dramatically, and to some, the schedule has really been so affecting the emotions of so many. Okay, and then there is what we call as complete uncertainty about how long this will last. Wala, kaano nga ta? Imbaga damat nga, this will be 2 years ka no. Tapos adating imbaga nga, no December, mabali no, no January, mabalin tayo, let's go back to normal. See, these are what is coming out because we have been so used to a particular routine. Ano ba yung routine kasi na sinasabi natin dito? The routine is what we call as the usual norm. Yan. Ito yung the usual things. Like for example, it is a cyclical activity. Okay? Regularly, in a normal situation, ito po yung ginagawa natin every day. Okay? Can you relate? Yan. Mangrugi tayo ijay, when you wake up, di pa nagriing. So amin tayo, mariing tayo at this moment in time. Kasday, right? Yan. And then afterwards, sagana tayo, itibadbalo tayo, agluto, agkupin, iti napagturugan, isagana lagi di ubing, taapan da di eskwela, di balon da, di uniform da. Of course, the uniform tayo mat. And then, of course, di for the ladies, mga ano pala ni, mga preliminary touch-ons, make-ups, lipsticks, ayun. Yung tatangay, I don't know, no, ada pa lipstick, ta puro amin mo, ti makita kat naka-mask tayo amin. So what is the use of lipstick? Kung ganun yan, di ba? So, after that, rumar tayo, rumar tayo iti pagtaangan. We go out of our house. And, para kada tayo nga ada to your city, makihagol tayo iti traffic. Okay? Yan, makilimnatlat tayo, makipila tayo. Kasday. And then, afterwards, we go to work. And that will be our 8 to 5 thing. And for the children, it's also an 8 to 5, 8 to 4 thing where they would go into their usual class or face-to-face class meetings. And afterwards, kring, kanana ijay, pinag-aawid man na. See, pinagre-retira. So manipod ijay, we go home, but before we go home, ag market tayo, makisakay tayo man, ag pila-pila tayo man, iti jeeps, okay, at maagawid, and so on and so on. That is what we call as our usual norm. But what happened? All of a sudden, here came the pandemic. Ano tinapasamak, ito yung usual norm tayo. Ayan. Naikat, naawan. DJ pa nagriing tayo kasi imbes nga 5 o'clock, mariing tayo iti ore alas 3, alas 2, mabalin tayo nga mariing iti alas 9, mabalin tayo agriing iti alas 10. See? So, di pa nagriing tayo na-disrupt. And more so, if that is happening to us, that is also happening to our kids, our children. Okay? Di panag-apan dat eskwela, na-disrupt mo. Okay? Awanan, di jay isagsagana anda. Uri di pa nagruwal, nagbalinan nga quarantine, etc. etc. Nagbalinan nga lockdown. Di jay trabaho tayo. Nyapit nangyari ti trabaho, nagbalin nga work from home. And that's why we are now having what we call as Google Meets. Ito na, bago ito sa akin, Microsoft Teams, meron ding Zoom Meets, and virtual discussions. So, yung usual norm natin, na-disrupt. Already panagawid. Okay? Already panagawid, na-disrupt. So, that is what we call as the disruption of the norm. And I think you know what I mean. Because of the disruption of the norm, here came now what we call as the new normal. Okay? What is the new normal? This is what we're doing at this time. I could have been in front of a big hall together with you. Nga, nakipulpula-pulak kumakanyayo, but I am here this time facing a blank screen and hoping that every one of us are really listening. And I cannot do the physical things that I have been doing in the past. And so, this is the only way we can get in touch together. So this is what we call as the new normal. Another new normal is, of course, the giant work from home. Yeah. Another new normal, the virtual, Google Meets. Okay, and of course our distance learning. These are new normal. Disruption of these norms, and many of us are affected by this. Parents, I think you know where what is happening with parents right now, with all the comments we receive, with all the messages that we get from all sectors saying about academic freeze tayo tani, kakaasa mo tagitik, and all those things. These are things that are affecting our mental health. See, the disruption of the normal. And the third thing is the cabin fever. Cabin, di nakukulong ka. Okay? No, agkukulong ka, that's what we call as cabin fever. Kung nadan to pa nga, ermitanyo. Okay, why? Because you cannot even go out. Now for us, at least they daduma kanya tayo, they are able to adjust somehow. Mabalindan nga rumuha iti paraangan. But without you knowing, there are so many out there. I mean, there's so many out there nga mabuteng da nga rumuha aging gana itata. Why? Because they don't want to be infected by this virus. Sinumot nga tiket na nga apan at ma-swab test. Sinumot nga tiket na nga anili ko na da dyan, di maikwa iti oxygen. Okay? Sinumot iti matube no natamaan ka. Sinumot tiket na agbayad iti hospital bills. Okay? So, but there are many nga sinubraan da. They have this cabin fever. That as if it is already World War III nga inimbak da amin nun. So, inimbak da amin nun nga kahit da nga imbakon, napanda nagpanic buying. Okay? They stayed for extended periods of time. Okay? One example of a cabin fever is when during the World War II, there was one Japanese struggler right there in Mindanao. Okay? Nagkaroon siya ng cabin fever or cabin syndrome. To the extent nga, tiam muna, gubat pay laon. And you see, if that is how it affected that soldier, okay, that he thought after 30 years nga World War II pa lang. It might happen to anybody of us if we do not know how to manage this. See, they look at it as a so much in an extreme perception nga naglulumungdan nga andan kahit nga rumwar. You see, if left unaddressed, sabi dito, these emotions can lead to a decline in mental health. Okay? I don't know if nakaka-relate kayo dyan. See? So, ito kasi ang nangyari during the pandemic which made many people to develop cabin fever. Of course, this pandemic did not just start all of a sudden. Okay? Nag-start dito iti kwa. Idi amutayo kat kwa. The first report was in December. But according to theguardian.com, a Hong Kong newspaper, the first reported case pala was in November 17, 2019. The earliest recorded case. Of course, they did not expect na this was the one. But maybe they said it was just a flu or a common fever or a common illness just like anything else. But in December 30, 2019, after receiving several unusual medical cases, China issued urgent notices to its health agencies. Okay, history would tell na nagrugi kano ijay Wuhan. So with all the reports that they had been receiving of mysterious deaths and mysterious illnesses of the country's citizens, they now issued urgent notices to its health agencies. Several hospitals received these ones, and that was in December 30. Almost a New Year na ito yan. Okay? And then January 4, sumambulat ang isang balita na there is now the first public statement of China that there is an outbreak. Outbreak pa lang because doon pa lang sa China ito. Okay? Within the Wuhan. But it dramatically and uncontrollably went to other places. Okay? So the first public statement of the outbreak was January 4. And in January 11, that was the first reported death, okay, from the outbreak in January 11, 2020. And then in January 20, 9 days after, China confirmed its first person-to-person transmission. Kahit nasawan, haan lang gayam nga from a particular, well, the suspicion was a particular animal or whatever, nga na pan iti tao. But at this time, they were able to confirm that there was this person-to-person transmission already. So mabalin nga ag-akar dito from one tao to another, not just from one animal to another. So it is now becoming an issue or a case of concern. That's why in January 21, 2020, the United States Center for Disease Control confirms its first case in the US. Napanon ija US. Daytoy nga COVID. Okay? So I'm showing here the world situation. Mamaya tignan natin kung paano naman kumalat sa Pilipinas. Okay? Now, dito in January 30. So look at the dates. November 17, December 30, January 4, 11, 20, 21, 30. Ang bilis, di po ba? In January 30, 2020, World Health Organization now declared the COVID, na hindi pa COVID ang pangalan niya, that declares a public health emergency of international concern. Why? Because it already reached other countries, most especially, big countries like US. Now let us go into the Philippines. Okay? Dito naman sa Pilipinas, the pandemic has affected the Philippines. And in January 30, 2020, yada dumakan niya malaglagit yun dagito yan. Okay? DOH reported its first case. Okay. Of course, Hanya Filipino, matkitdi iti first case. It was a Chinese national arriving from China. And in February 11, World Health Organization renamed the novel coronavirus. So its first name pala was novel coronavirus. Novel means new. Yun. Because there were strains of coronavirus before, but they now made it a name called COVID-19. Okay? COVID-19. And in March 7, 2020, DOH or Department of Health in the Philippines confirms its first local transmission. So at least makita yun dito, right? Nga nagpaspas from January, February, and then March 7. March 8, what happened in March 8? In March 8, the President of the Philippines, uh, President Duterte, declared a state of public health emergency. So, dati yung mga taga Cordillera, nagdanggan tayo lang pa dito as news. But we are already becoming concerned because from China, it now arrived in the Philippines. Okay? So that in March 11, 2020, ayun na, the first Filipino to die of COVID was recorded. Okay? And this is also the day when World Health Organization declared COVID as a pandemic. You see? Pandemic in the sense that it is now not just covering one place, but it is covering the whole or many countries for that matter. So that was in March 11. Now, this is where I think many of us would remember. Between March 11 to March 17, I believe that was March 15. Okay, it was a Friday when all of a sudden we heard an announcement from our mayor here in La Trinidad na we have to end our classes at 3 o'clock or 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So they had a early dismissal on March 15, not knowing. Of course, the students were happy because nakat yung klase. So they just said na, di bali, balik na naman tayo ng Lunes eh, gano'n. So many of them left their books, their materials behind. In other schools, napakadaan-daan. Kung alaan nyo amin nga libro yun. But there are some schools na hindi man lang nakakuha ng mga gamit nila. Okay? So that was in March 15. But in March 17, Luzon was placed under ECQ. Okay? Luzon was placed under ECQ. And then what happened next is something that all of us would really have to bear boringly, and we have to really be patiently waiting for the next event to come. April, May, June, July, August, okay, and then now we are on September, because during those times there are changes in declarations like ECQ, GCQ, MECQ, and whatever Q is that. Okay? So, nagkaroon ng mga quarantines and lockdowns. So, what happened? Binibilang natin ang mga araw, just like as if we are inside the prison. Nga, agtaltali tisag pa 5, ganon. Okay? Agtaltali, ganon. Right? Numanual daw tayo di unag. Okay? Personally, when I was also in my case, what I was doing in my diary was ilislistak no mano iti case per day, ganon. But naboring ako ton. I lost track of it already. I lost track of it already. What happened now is this. It affected it affected too many of us, not only physically but also emotionally. So that's how the cabin fever has affected so many of us. It impacted our normal daily life. Okay? So there's a research here that says quarantine employees were significantly more likely to report exhaustion, anxiety, insomnia, irritability, low levels of work performance, and poor concentration. Okay, so if you would be having some feelings about any one of this or all of this, or at least may saka na gito, or you just have a feeling that you have not felt before, then of course you can say na somehow naka-apekto rin sa'yo. So this pandemic is affecting or impacting our mental health. Okay? And of course, number 4, lack of social contact. Yan na. So, syempre, with all the restrictions of mobility, restrictions of social gathering, okay? No, apan pwede church kat, imagine, sangapulo lang karo or 10% of the capacity. So, our contacts with other people has been limited. So limiting that even our travel has been so much affected. Dagiti kayat da nga ag-awid, kat handang mabaling nga ag-awid. Here in La Trinidad, for example, in Benguet particularly, there were so many nga taga Tabuk, taga Mountain Province, taga Abra, nga na-stranded. So, dili ko natin nga SSLs, okay? Social, stranded, okay? Stranded individuals, SSIs. So, even estudyante tayo piman, kat ala, andang mabalin nga mapaawid just because of this. So, what happened during those times? Of course, the social contact has been so much affected. Sa bali lata, di kasasaom personally, sa bali lata man, no, kate-text mo lang. So, medyo, that's a different thing, right? See? So, not everyone has people they can reach out to. Especially mga estudyante piman natin, or people that are just migrants in a particular place. Sino ngay mo tikap ang muda. So, the connection with other people has been so limited. Less contact can lead to feelings of depression and anxiety. We are social beings, as they would say. We cannot live without talking with other people. We cannot live without communicating with the same species as us. Okay? Mabalin man nga dati aso tayo, mabalin tayo nga pag-expressan. But sa bali lata, no di agsungbat ka natin ko, wan naawatak. No di aso ngay, may bagana ba? Maawatak si ka. Cannot be, right? Okay? You can only presume nga di dildil pata na si ka kat wan ko na. But actually hanggayan takayat na lang nga ikaton di jay nakabigkat jay rupam. See, so social contact is very important. See? And then number 4, reduced physical activity. Okay? Fewer opportunities to work out. So nga dati tinmabakan niya tayo. Sino iti nadagdagan iti calories na, di bagina. Sino iti nadagdagan iti bilbil na. For the ladies. Sino iti nadagdagan iti weight na. Yan. Din makal kang peso nguhaan mo't nga horizontally, but han nga vertically, but horizontally. So, which might have been one of your most accessible coping skills kuman DJ physical activity. Yan. And because of this, we would like to see how we are thinking. No normal data, DJ ngay panunte ko kaya makontrol ko pa. Ganon. Makontrol ko daytoy rek na. I can still able to manage myself, right? But here came a critical event, like this pandemic or any other event, perhaps, that might happen, like disasters and those things. Okay, if we are undergoing crisis, masabalian. DJ panunod tayo kat bumasik nga. Okay, we feel like we are so helpless. And so our feelings become so great. So we have feelings of fear, feelings of worry, we have feelings of anxiety, feelings of uncertainty. Okay? And so because of that, the thought is being defeated. Umat nga to DJ feelings tayo. Okay? Magagaboranan to the extent that we now cannot react normally to situation. Okay? So these are warning signs that I would like us to look into. What are these warning signs? The warning signs are, number one, when you find your mood that is being affected. The changes in mood. Maday ko natin, ala, kaya bigla nalaklaka ka, agungot itata, ag flare apak tata, kaya nga kasjay. Okay? Nohan man nga kasjay, ala, ada dya time nga natitigilan ako. Hindi ko alam ang nasa isip ko at ginagawa ko. I just have to sit down and for hours and hours and then not even doing anything. Nakatulala, malayo ang tingin. So changes in me. You are struggling to manage your emotions, or your emotions are making it difficult for you to function, such that our productivity as a mother, as a father, as a parent, or as a member of the family is affected. Mas daaw dagi jay ubing kada tayo. Apay nga kasla tayo nga sabsabali ka na. Okay? Ore dagi jay ubing makita ang changes. There were some changes in mood. Balinda nga medyo irritable. Okay? Bored and those things. These changes in mood are warning signs. Okay? And also changes in sleep habits. You are unable to fall asleep. Ang ka makatulog. Okay? Yan. I'm so happy that somehow many of us are able to go back to what is normal already. But if you find that there are instances when your mood has changed drastically, such that you cannot even control these moods coming out, then these are red flags. These are warning signs. So much so that if you find that your sleeping habits is affected, or is not in the normal already, nakamakaturo, okay? You wake up repeatedly throughout the night. Okay? Di among kot agsapan, kita angkot ni, alauna pa yun, naturog pa man. Tapos kat, nakaturog ka ba si? Hindi kita mo nang kat, mariing ka mo nang kat. Di ba alauna di jay pa? Hindi kita angkot ni, 1:45 mo tayo lang. And afterwards, you sleep again. And then, you wake up repeatedly throughout the night. Meaning to say, that is a warning sign. That is something that you need to address. Okay? And then, kung hindi man unable to fall asleep, many of us are doing the other way around. Sleeping too much. Okay? Sino kada tayo iti nakaturog, iti 1 week, yan man lang naririing. May nangyari pong ganyan. Well, of course, I've heard of some. Okay? And sleeping too much would be also a warning sign. No makita mo nga alam, maturog latan o middle. So that's something. I think you have to look into these things already. Okay? You nap throughout the day and have trouble waking in the morning despite a full night's rest. Nakaturog ak mat idarabi yung apay makaturog ak man tata. Okay? And you have trouble waking in the morning. Maturog ka at maririgatang. Okay? These are changes in sleep habits. Okay? So, another warning sign is changes in appetite or weight. Okay. I believe you can recall, you can relate with this. Okay? Distress can cause some people to eat too much. Mangan-mangan ka. Ado-ado tikan ka nun. Basta, mangan ka. When you are in distress kasi, either your appetite actually is going to change. If it will lead you to eat too much, okay, others would lose their appetites altogether. Handa nga makapangan. Kawan ganas daw mga. Ti raman, ti chocolate ka na dapat asin. You see? The major change in appetite or in weight. So dati nadagdagan iti weight na, damot iti saan. Okay? So, difficulty functioning is another warning sign. Your productivity, nasabi ko na kanina, you have more difficulty concentrating and staying on task and being productive. You have difficulty becoming a productive individual. So, mag-apektahan. Kaya nga ako, nalpas. nalpas ko kumaray ito. Hangko nga maituloy ito. Hangko nga malpa-malpas. I don't know why. See, those are warning signs. Especially when you relate this already to the present pandemic that we are undergoing. Okay? You have trouble taking care of your daily needs. Taking a shower, malipatan pa. Doing household chores. So, dati-dati sika iti kaunaan nga mariing tapno aglinis. But tawanan, yaputa na disrupt DJ schedule mo, na disrupt DJ routine mo. What happened? You woke up at maybe at 2 o'clock in the morning, ijay ka nga aglilinis. But anyway, at least you are making some ways to do it. But when you have trouble taking care of your daily needs, okay, like taking a shower, doing household chores, or even caring for your kids, that's a warning sign. Difficulty functioning. And so we have to go into how we are going to be managing this. And this is the meat of our discussion. Okay? Resiliency tips. Now, if there are activities here, I would like you to participate and maybe try to do it kahit na uri na may samdita nga agbuy-buya, try to do it. Never mind, hindi ko naman kayo patatalunin. Okay? Resiliency tips. Okay? What are resiliency tips? First is, of course, you have to get physically active. Okay? When I ask you to get physically active, research clearly shows that physical activity is vital to good mental health and well-being. Ag-exercise ka. Okay? Make a way to exercise. Get physically active. Hindi aramidan da. You don't need to have a big space for you to exercise. Okay? You don't need a lot of space. You can still work out from your living room or bedroom with little or no equipment at all. You see? So, kasi aramidon tayo. Just get physically active. Make your body, okay, be active. Right? Yeah. Another one is this. Maybe the activeness, iti physical ka, exercise ka. You can take a walk around your surroundings. Ijay balabalayo. Nawan man ti surroundings, so at least around the house. Okay? Do the usual household chores that you are doing. And then another one is schedule a time to worry. Many of you might react differently when you read this one. Really? Yes. Okay. If worrying is going to control you, then put your worry into a schedule. Put your anxiety to a schedule. I'll show you how this one will be practical for you. Because research shows that scheduling time to worry can be an effective way to contain it to a limited time period. Okay, this is a research-based practice. Okay, ano ba ito? Una, you schedule a worrying time. For example, pick a 15-minute time frame to sit and worry. Maybe from 8:45 man to 9 o'clock isuti schedule ni worry kanya. Okay, so that's where you are going to meet worry. That's where you are going to meet anxiety. That's where you are going to meet fear. Okay, your emotions. Schedule time for worry. And what will happen during that 15-minute period of time? You worry during that worrying time. Idanag mo amin, kahit mga idanag, ijay nga 15 minutes that you have allotted for that day. Okay? What will you do? Siyempre, agdanag ka. Tapos, what will you do? Nga haba ang dandanag, try to do something. Isurat mo amin in one paper. What are your worries? What are disturbing you? What are those that affects you? Okay, write in a journal. Or another one is within that worrying time, try to talk to someone about it. Okay, maybe text somebody else or PM somebody else and talk to them about it. Okay, or just think about all the things you have to worry about within that 15-minute period. Okay? All right. Sige. At least, adamang mga ko nga, you are trying to copy the gitu, the slides. I'm so happy about that. Okay, so kopyahan nyo lang and then try to practice it. Okay? So worry during your worrying time. Mhm. So, anya ti araramidom during your worrying time? Surat ka. Okay? Idanag mo amin ijayan in 15 minutes. What will happen after 15 minutes? I-extend mo pa iba? Okay, let's go to the next slide. Alright, kuna na dyan next slide. Kuna na, stop worrying when your time is up. Nalpasan di jay worrying period ko. Okay, nalpasan jay class period ba? Or napasan jay worrying subject ko. Okay, when your time ends, alright, when your time ends, get up, okay, and do an activity that distracts you from those worries. So, ibatik pa ni worry. No, bigat to manan at 8:45 to 9 o'clock. Kung nang ijay ano, isutiin kabi mo nga oras mo. So, put a time frame for worrying. And after that time frame, you stop worrying when your time is up. Okay? So, get up and do an activity that will distract you from those worries. If you will do that, you will find some changes. Okay? You will find some changes. Defer. Okay? No, kunyari, after that worrying time, ayaw, kakapay lang. You see? You put some deferment. Defer worrisome thoughts. Okay? Lagi po tayo into no worrying time ko. Ganon. So, defer worrisome thoughts to your worrying time. So, when you find yourself worrying outside of your scheduled time, remind yourself. Just remind yourself. So, you see, you're able to control your thoughts already here, right? So that your feelings will be put a little controlled. Okay? Remind yourself it is not yet time and that you will worry about it later. Okay? Yeah. Let us proceed. Researchers have found that people who consistently practice this technique are able to reduce overall anxiety. So, mabalimot nga aramidon tayong maramdama. After this activity, mauray ka. Schedule ko man ti worrying time ko no alauna. 1 to 1:15 lang. And the next day, 1 to 1:15 manon. After that, worrying time, nalpason. No 1:15 manon no next. Kasi dahil aramidon ti 1 to 1:15 manon. So, if you put this as a habit, okay? If you put this as a habit, and you consistently practice this, you will have reduced your overall anxiety. So nakadagiti managdanag, okay? Sapay kumata, kitaan nyo no, daytoy kat mabalin nga effective ka nga tayo. Okay? You can only find it effective when you start doing it, of course, right? Yan. I've been into several talks and showing all of the slides that I have had, but the importante laon ay kakabsat gagayam kat when you put these things into practice. Try it. If it is not effective for you, then try another one. And I'm going to show you another one. Okay? Kahit nalaw sa uwan niya, there are lots of ways to worry. There are lots of ways to cope with our selves during this pandemic. And as a result, we become more resilient. Okay? Additionally, when talking about the scheduled time for worry, when you are able to practice this, you're able to focus more and stay on task better throughout the rest of the day. Apaya, yamin in kahon mo lang isunan so that the next other hours will be used for some productive activities. Ang mga DJ worry ito ng kakan, uno ng alun-un, DJ altaw mo, dito ba? Ayan. Okay, shall we go to the next? Another resiliency tip is this: maintain social connections. Ayan. Danger. There's what you call kasi a danger of rumination or isolation. Di nga, agbalin ka nga ermitanyo. Allah, you close your communication to the outside world such that it's only you and only you. Okay, numangan ka kat lonely table. Anya, just for one. Say, no rumwar ka kat you are alone. Lonely. I'm Mr. Lonely. Kung kunam itibagin. See? So, with this thing, you could not be as resilient as Carol. Although some people, very rare makit di dagay tatao nga kaya da nga mabiyag na isisuda lang. But as I said, we are a sociable people. We are gregarious in nature nga kunada. We naturally had to look for people we have to deal with. Okay? Use social media to chat with relatives and friends. Saram DJ ko. Instead nga saram lang nga mang kaskas DJ fingers mo, use social media to chat with relatives and friends. Just by attending this webinar, for example, is one way to connect with people. Mabaling ka nga, i-send iti chat message dita. Hello, kung panamot good morning to everybody. Okay, that's one way to really connect. And well, ipagbagada nga social distancing, it's supposed to be physical distancing, but not social. Okay, you have to get your connection somehow with people, and that's what we call a social connection. And you've got to maintain that social connection. Post supportive comments and pictures and content on your social sites. Don't put mga makapadadaol iti aldaw. Okay? Nagikabil ka din iti something, how do you call this? Inspirational. Ayan. Mga encouraging thoughts. Ang picture ka iti makapaisam. Okay? No, that tirupam dita nga, makita lang ti tao ag isam ba? Why not post it? But see to it that it will not be abused. Okay? Post supportive comments, pictures, and content on your social sites. That's one way of maintaining social connections. Okay. More about social connections. You schedule regular video chats with friends, family members, and co-workers. You know what I have been doing? I have connected myself with my batchmates in high school. Ay na, nagmet at istoryaan mi. Lagi pun may amin, lagi jay pictures mi. Okay, lagi pun mi lagi jay nakakatawa nga napalabas mi, di high school kami. Why not connect with your high school batch? Okay, kahit man lang during that time, adati virtual reunion nyo. Okay, aglilinagip kayo. Aglilinagip kayo kada gijay nakakatawa nga napapasama. Okay, one thing that I also had is nakikonek ako kada gijay nabaybayag nga friends ko. Okay, and we started a group chat. See? Well, of course, samtay umot nga teki launay such that video chat, nagrigat kasi ti video chat, data aklaan. Okay, so the important thing is this: have connections with friends, with family members, and with co-workers. That's very important. Maintain social connections. And of course, send email or send emails, send messages, text messages to your loved ones. Haan siguro nga mabalinon dyan card narigatan because of the limited mobility we have. But right now, we are in virtual settings. So send text messages of kumusta, send text messages of how are you to your other friends. Okay, a small message can do a lot. Okay, to lift other people's spirits. No, duwa lang a word iti mai-share mo. Why not? O may po jay bagam nga praise God. O di ba? It's something that will lift another person from whatever he is feeling or she is feeling. Baka maramdama, jay message mo gayon isuti, nabaybayag nga inuuray ti man jay friend mo. And you could be the answer to the depressive situation of your friend. Ay, salamat. Sika isu na lang tinakaitet, nakaisen, iti-message ka na. At least, ada nakapanunod ka na. Ganun yun. And, of course, just like, ganun, and vice versa. Pati ikaw, makakareceive ka rin ng mga messages. Okay, why don't you do that? Okay, why don't you do that in your spare time? So maintain social connections. Okay. Now, another resiliency tips. I hope you are taking down notes. Okay, ano ti imon una? Yan. So physical activity. Second is maintain social connections. Yan. So ayan, dagijay. So another one. Meron pa akong masasabi when it comes to social connections. Very important kasi itong social connections, as I said, because we are social beings. Attend online church or spiritual meetings if it is aligned with your belief system. Like for example, Novembro katikwan, adati live streaming. Wow, that's also good. See, those things are just simple and practical as it is, but sometimes it's the simple and practical that we always forget. Di po ba? Agree or disagree? Okay. Ayan. And then, be supportive of others who may need social connection. Ayan. So, maging receptive din tayo. Maging sensitive din, o sensible na lang. Maging sensible din tayo sa ating mga kasama. Baka mamaya may ano pala, nabaybayag nga nakikon-connecta, awan gaham iti ka-connect na. So you start, you might be the first friend to encourage that person. And what a great accomplishment it would be when someday that person will stand up and say, if there is one person that ever gave me an encouragement, it was you, kunana kanyan. O di ba? And that is something that they could remember you forever and ever. Amen. Okay? Yan. So, maintain social connections. These are the questions that you have to answer. Are you getting enough face-to-face time with your friends? Yeah. Adaba. Another one. What are you doing to nurture your relationships with family and friends? What are you doing to nurture your relationships with family and friends? Baka magpaiso dyan friends mo, very close ka. But your family, nalipatan mo. Okay, so we start within our own family. O sa mismong bakuran natin. And from there, you spread out to others. You think of a friend. So at this time siguro, sino dyan mo na nga tao nga friend nga napanunot mo nga pag-sendan iti message after this? Yeah. You send him or her a message after this. Or maybe even at this time, agdungdungog ka kanya, sige, agisendak ta baka malipatak. Yan, do it. Maintain social connections. Another resiliency tips is this: to keep the big picture in mind. What am I saying when I talk about keeping the big picture in mind? No kunak nga big picture in mind, no gamin tunnel vision iti panpanunutan tayo. Jingay, dagjay babasit nga banag, iso ti padakdakalon tayo. Diba? Yung hantay nga makita di jay kabuuan. Like for example, at this time, we are in a pandemic. What we are looking at are the small things. Ay, nyamatan. Nalockdown tayo manan. Ay, nyamatan. Nag-adam, nadagdagan manan iti kaso dito ayan tayo. Iti probinsya tayo. Nyamot dagtanga kwa. Kasao ka pa iti, haan nga, dapat mo nga maisawang. Na ibagam aminan, katamong itong masubli. So instead of saying like that, keeping the big picture in mind is this, baka kwa, dahito nga pasamak tayo, lumabas dahito, adan to, at least dahito nga experience tayo, adan to, is istoryaan tayo to, adan to, iba't ba dito nga is istoryaan to kadagijay, anak tayo, no? Apo tayo, no? Matatidog pa iti, biyag tayo. No, bumakbagat kayo to, umay dagi siya, apuyo ko na, anya ti istorya, lola, lolo, kung kunada kanya, di istorya, idi COVID-19. Okay, di ba? Istorya amot tan ada jay napaspasama, nagkukulong kami. Ngam adda iti nang ko nga webinar mi idi. Ngahan ngayem nga mabaling nga kasjay. So nga ako malipatan, nanipod idi, rumrumwara kon iti balbalay. Kung kunamot lang idi, di ba? So it's just like a rotational activity. No, dahil lolola yung idi, lolola tayo idi, katagis istoryada about, idi panahon ti gubat. Okay? Datay mo tata, no, bakit kin lumaklakay tayo, balin tayo nga lola kin lolo, datay mo kat, idi panahon ti COVID. Kunaya mo ito. Now, when we say, keep the big picture in mind, you will look at it on a broader aspect. Okay? And say to yourself, someday you'll likely be recounting what you did during the pandemic. Di ba? So at least adan to is istoryaan tayo to. Talaga nga kastoy gaya. So put it something like more exciting thing. So nga nagpintas nga even at this time, your journal, the journal thing that I was saying in my previous slides, make it a habit. Aramidin tayo nga a diary. Because it might be a blockbuster novel 50 years from now. O, apay ni Anne Frank, in-expect na ba nga agbalin nga libro, DJ diary na, the diary of Anne Frank during the Holocaust. Maybe your diary right now can be kept and can be read by your next generation and become a best-selling novel 30 years, 50 years, 100 years from now. At least makita niya ko. So, do it. Okay? Maybe you'll be telling the story of how you survived social distancing or how you managed to get through this time financially. Kung kuno di ba? You have a story to tell. So, this is a resiliency tips. I hope you are enjoying learning these resiliency tips. But what I would like to do is, not only are you enjoying, but look at yourself practicing it. So, put it in your mind. Kita man jay mabalin nga applicable kanya ta isuman ti aramidok. Kita ti ka effective na daytoy. It might be effective for me. So, one resiliency tip is keep the big picture in mind. Now, let us proceed to other resiliency tips. Another one is this. Be selective about your media consumption. What is this? Ay nako. Daytoy kat. Commit to only tuning in to a few news programs daily. And set a time limit like 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening. Dingay kwa, like siyak agdengdeng ti radio news. Agdengdeng ti radio news agsapa every 6 o'clock to 6:30 before I go to work, before I go out, or while eating my breakfast. But after that, it turn off kon. See? Be selective about your media consumption. Dati yung nakwalaon na 18 news, at least diya lang 30 minutes in the morning and then another 30 minutes in the evening. Okay? Because naka-concentrate ka lang about your media consumption and you are not even selective about your consumption of your media, it will turn to become a difficulty on your part. See? Scrolling through social media mindlessly throughout the day. Nakikita kayo iti nakatugaw, ita ruwar ti balayda, nga awan lang ti sinang sangaw na no DJI cellphone na. And scrolling scroll mindlessly throughout the day, it can drain you of mental strength. See? Para sumot nga, ibatan DJ cellphone mo. Makaangas kamot mo, ibatan, di ba? Ayan, tidak dumagin kat kaslahan dang makaangas. No, mabaling kat nakasilpulat ta ijay pa. Kaslangay nga, nakonada ijay, dextrose ba? Okay? Nakakabil ijay lapayag da ijay we call this the earpiece, and then the whole day nakasjay kasla ka nga naka-dextrose tuloy. Iba tampay. Okay? And be selective about your media consumption. Look at media that will give you more inspiration rather than desperation. You see? Ayan. Ano to? Follow people who inspire you on social media. Ayan. No, sino din mga in-inspire ka niyan? Like for example, naman lagi I don't want to advertise, but me, I am also following people that I was inspired on. So that's the one that I am looking into. Na nadyan post na, ay na nagmamaya, you know, makapa-uplift, makapa-ikat iti stress, makapadismular iti nadadaol na aldaw. Okay? So, yan, follow people who inspire you on social media. And if you follow people who are making catastrophic predictions, yeah, nga, kwa kano, daytoy, this is already the end of the times, while there is some truth in it. But if you put yourself enslaved by all of those things, then it will control you. Your thoughts will always be there. And because your thoughts will always be there, your feelings are affected. And because your feelings are affected, your behavior, outward, dealing with other people is affected. So nga mas tao kayo, tayo nga ada jay tao nga dati friendly da pero haan nga friendly itata. Why? They have started it out with some bad thoughts. And because of negative thoughts, it affected their feeling. And because it affected their feeling, their dealings or treatment with other people is affected. Okay? So if you follow people who are making catastrophic predictions and complaining about their situations, you will likely become distressed. Especially if you follow what we call as the herd mentality. Kuna. Yan. Gaputa adati nang ikabin iti negative message. Ala, dinagdagamot iti another negative. Nga na nagbalinan nga negative. Nga tilabas na, agsinsindong bat kayo. Ijay, kwa, nakita yun eh, kwa. If you notice lagi din comment threads, ala, nagmait iti pagsasauan da. Afterwards, agsinsindong bat damot to nun. They agbalbalibol, ay, balbalibol, tama ba? Yeah, agbalbalibol, pinpinasa damot to, nakakaskas ang, nakasaksakit nga sasao or words ko nata yun. See? So, be selective about your media consumption. You see how media has controlled so many of us, such that many friendships has been destroyed because of that. Many images have been destroyed because of media consumption. Okay? Media is very important. Media is very, very relevant even unto these days. But responsible media use is also the need of the times. And to us, that is no question. It's not a problem. But just to share to you so that you are able to explain this to our learners in the end. Okay? Now, read articles. So it's not just about the virtual media, but about written or print media. Read articles and watch programs that focus on what you can do to stay healthy. Ayan. So mga kwan ba? Mga programs, mga wellness programs, mga health tips programs, mga mental health tips program, yung mga ganon. Okay? In my case, being a guidance counselor in a school, what I did is I started a Facebook page where I posted mga magagandang articles, and I even posted myself on video talking about some topics on psychosocial support, not only for our students or learners, but also to our parents. So media is very powerful, but you've got to be responsible of it. Okay? Focus on the things that you can control. Medyo marami-rami na tayong resiliency tips, right? Okay? What about focusing on the things that you can control? What does it mean? Does it mean that there are things that are beyond our control? Yes. There are things that are beyond our control. What is that? One example, basic example, ay makontrol mo di jay panagsingising ti init kin panagbabana, amo makontrol di jay. Makontrol mo kaya di agsapa kin panagrabii, amo makontrol di jay. Okay? So, ti makontrol mo di jay for how you respond to it. How we respond to these uncontrolled situations. So you can control how well you take care of yourself. See? Hamong makontrol di jay awan iti sabon. Okay? Makontrol mo gayam di jay awan ti sabon, di ba? At least makontrol mo di jay. But what I'm trying to say is you can control how well you take care of yourself. That is within our control. How often you talk to family and friends. That's one thing that you can control. And how much media you consume. These are things that you can be able to control. Okay? And so look at these circles of control. And I made this, I not made, I adapted this circles of control wherein you got to identify in that circle what are the things that are outside of your control. Dagjahan yung makontrol. Isurat yung ijay, ito'y outer concentric na circle. And then ijay inner circle. Write down the things that you are able to control. Okay? Maybe in your spare time you can do this. Actually, no, adak lang ko mga, we can do this on a workshop that nag-share tayo ko ma, right? But nevertheless, I call this, I designed this supposed to be to do it on a workshop type, but you can do this. But this is how I made it. Now, there are things that are outside of my control. What are these things? Like listening of a news that someone has lost the job. Like for example, man dagiti kakabsat nga taga ABS-CBN na awan dati man iti trabaho, 11,000 of them. Control mo ba di? You cannot control that. That is outside your control, I mean. Okay? How the government responds to COVID. How mga makontrol it? That's outside your control already. Okay? How others act. Okay? That is outside of your control. That someone will die of COVID-19. Okay? Is that within your control? Ala, panak man ta. Hatatuhan nga matay. Parang ganon. Can you be that one? You are not. These are things that are outside of your control. But what are the things that you are in control of? Okay? One is how I respond to others. At least makontrol ko di dyan. If I would like to respond in a nice manner, that's one thing I can control. Okay? It is how I respond to others. And then I can also control whether I take protective measures to prevent infection. Okay? That's within our control. Okay? Mabalin ko nga sa ron dahil dyan nagpipintas nga. Face mask, face shield, etc., etc. So these are within my control. And it is also within my control what information I give to others. See? So you can also do that yourself. Maybe in your spare time, in your spare moments, or after this, maybe. Okay? After this, what can you do? What are the things that are outside of my control? And what are the things that I can control? So what is that resiliency tip again that I was telling you? Is, go back to it. Focus on the things that you are able to control. Okay. Now, let us go to the next one. Next resiliency tips. Next resiliency tip. And I would like you to participate in this. Wherever you are, I may not see you. You may not see the others. You may open your video if you want to. But this resilience tip is about practicing healthy coping skills. Okay? Healthy coping skills. Mamaya gawin natin ito. Explore new skills that you can practice. Such as ito nga, writing a journal. Okay? Another one is discover a variety of relaxation techniques and stress relievers. In some of my talks here at the region, and I don't know if you were previous participants, I showed to them about mindfulness, okay, calming breaths, and progressive muscle relaxation. Okay, so I would like you to discover these relaxation techniques and stress relievers. Ano bang ibig sabihin kasi natin ito? When we are under emotional tension, okay, it affects our physical body. The tibok ng puso natin, our breathing is affected, such that we need to have relaxation exercises. Okay? Yung mindfulness is it's very simple. Okay? I don't know if you have here if you have within your reach a cup of coffee, maybe a cup of or a can of your juice, or anything that you are holding at this time. Okay? Anything that you are holding at this time. Or kita kahit igaman yung tata. It might be a ball pen, a paper, or what. Okay? What is mindfulness exercise? When I say mindfulness exercises, is being mindful of what you are at the present. I mean, when you are under emotional tension, you get distracted but by worries and fears. But if you are mindful, like for example, you are holding that paper, you are holding that pen. I would like you to look at that paper. You are holding that ball pen. I would like you to look at that ball pen. You are holding that cup. Look at that cup, that pen, that paper, or anything you are holding onto, as if it is your first time to hold it. Okay? Yeah. And enjoy the color. Notice the color, the shape of the thing that you're holding on. See? Notice the the texture. Is it smooth? Is it coarse? Is it, you see? Let your eyes enjoy the beauty of its creation and appreciate it. Okay? Na kayo nga ada iti inumon na nga danom. Okay? Try to before yung nga inuman kat ipasagid yo pa iji lips yo DJ danom. Tapos let your lips feel the water right there. And then when you drink it, don't swallow it immediately. Medyo kitampay medyo let your tongue enjoy the taste of it. Okay? If you are able to smell it, enjoy the aroma. Okay? Dahil lapis king papapil kita nyo no makita nagpintas. Okay? Panakaaramid na. What am I saying is you are mindful of that thing until such time you are able to concentrate on that. So every time you are hooked to your worries and fears, what will you do? You just have to say, I am going to refocus on the present. I am going to refocus on this drink. I am going to refocus on this ball pen. I am going to refocus on this paper. That's mindfulness exercise. Okay? And then we have calming breaths. Okay? Now we are about to end. That's why I am putting into some activity already. When I say calming breaths, this is what we call as yung breathing exercises. If you see the slides, okay, it is a blue circle, okay. If you find the blue circle growing bigger, I'd like you to breathe, okay. And then if it goes smaller, breathe, exhale. Now, can you do it this time? Okay, let's do it. Okay, let's try to breathe in. Follow it. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Follow the circle. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Yeah. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. Okay. What does that mean? Whenever you feel emotionally tense, your breathing becomes too heavy, and so you need to find a space where you have that area where you can do the calming breaths. You need oxygen, and when you do that, you're able to control the uh, the yung breathing mo, you're able to control it into relax. So these are what we call as relaxation exercises. Alam mo? Relaxation exercises. See? So if you do this every day, you do this at least 3, 4 times a day, then you find yourself having a change. And you will enjoy and you will have a productive activity. Okay? How many minutes? Well, it's up to you. But so far, 5 minutes, 10 minutes can be very, very good. Okay? Ayan. So, another, practice healthy coping skill. This is the question. Are you getting adequate sleep? Okay? Is your diet fueling your body? Mhm. Are you taking charge of your health? Are you getting enough exercise? Okay, so these are questions I would like you to consider, as these are resiliency tips. Now, uh, as we go on, I will end with this acrostic. Yeah. What can you read in that in the slide? We have, ayan, no guilt.
No guilt.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for answering. No guilt. At least day takot lagi-lagi pa tayo. Ha? Okay. What is N? What is O? What is G? U, I, L, T? And when you do this, at least we will have or we'll be spending the whole day with no guilt because we are at most doing this. Okay. Sige, let's try. Ito lang naman. N is normalize your experience. Okay? Kaya nga tinatawag nilang new normal. Kasi nga disrupted yung norm natin. That's why we really have to go into a normal situation. Kahit na sinasabi natin new normal. And then letter O, open up yourself to a wide range of emotions. Bayam nga aglabas na kita. Okay? Those are normal. Kasi kung nada nga ron, sis journal, sis manual tayo, the one that we are using for psychosocial support to our kids, and which we are giving to our learners on a week before the class. All those feelings as a result of the pandemic. All those feelings, worries, fears, boredom, anger, mood swings, sleeplessness, changes in appetite, and so on, etc., etc. Those are normal and valid. Okay? That is a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. But, kung nadangarodan, let not that thing invade you. Okay? Let not that thing control you. Do something else within your coping strategies, within your resources to cope with this. So open up yourself to a wide range of emotions. These worries can be turned into something that is relaxing. I can do these things. Do not put yourself so enslaved by worry. You can turn this into another thing, into a positive thing. See? Mas kunadang ron, why worry when you can pray? O see, paliktadok man ito worry, iti pray. O ganun yan. And then G, give yourself permission to take a break. Just like a while ago, give yourself a time, a break ko yung sarili time. Okay? Nakti man ag break for a while. ag relaxation. Nakpay man practice and dijay calming breaths niya so rin sir tatay. Ganun yun. And then you uplift your spirit by recognizing your achievements every day. Okay, small as they are, small as they are still achievements. And it's actually a cause for celebration. Yay! Nariinga ka na sa patata. That calls for celebration. Yay! Awan tinagpaungot ka na tata. That calls for celebration. Those are achievements every day. Do not control yourself with failures. Look unto the achievements, however small they may be. And then imperfection is understandable. Okay? Siyempre, dati yung marukot, meron tayo. Dapat perfect ang. But put a little percentage nga minsan ag-fail da ito no ngay ada iti the probability na hangka nga masyadong frustrated. Okay? There's a percentage or probability of imperfection. So it is understandable. We are a work in progress. Okay? Whatever we do, it is a work in progress. So whatever failure you have undergone, well, it is a work in progress. At least it is a learning lesson. And L, look at your own progress. Okay? See if you are progressing. Okay? Or sa kabasit lang. Even a little change can make a great deal on you. Okay? Or basit lang dyan. And then letter T, treat yourself as if you are your own best friend. In fact, if I'm going to be more direct about it, treat yourself as your own best friend. Kung sino ba ang nagmamahal ng sarili natin, sino pa ba ang mas hihigit pa? Di ba? Aside from our Creator, of course. Of course, if there is somebody who loves this body very much, it is ourselves. See? No matter how imperfect it is. Or no, apagriing mo at kita ang mani. Adamotan iti linyana, di ba? Okay? Ano di bagbagada nga joke? Aba, hindi na ako millennial. May linya na ako. Ada ka na linya na iti kwan. Okay? Now, even if you look at yourself as there are lots of inadequacies, there are lots of imperfections about yourself. If there is somebody that needs to love that body the most, aside from our Creator, it is ourselves. Okay? If there is somebody who would give and provide care, okay, and attention the most to that body, it is you. Okay? So, what is there to put ourselves into worry and fear? Okay, so I would like you to look into that, normalize your experience, open up yourself to a wide range of emotions, give yourself permission to take a break, uplift your spirit by recognizing your achievements every day. Imperfection is understandable. Look at your own progress. Treat yourself as your own best friend. Okay, and that you will turn out to be no guilt. No guilt. Okay, I will end with this last slide. And the last slide would say, we do not heal the past by dwelling there. We heal the past by living fully in the present. Kaya mas maganda if our past becomes our lesson and our present becomes a grounding, our ground to move forward. You know, just like what favorite quotation that I always say: yesterday is history, okay? But tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why it is called present. You see? So we do not heal the past by dwelling there. We heal the past by living fully in the present. So let's end by looking at ourselves, keeping smiling. Uray no false teeth data. Sige lang, iisam mo. Just keep smiling. And the world will smile back at you. And with this, I'd like to thank you so much for listening. I hope you have learned something or a basit laang. And I would be very happy to hear from you if you have applied at least one or all of the resiliency tips that I have shared to you this morning. And with that, I'd like to thank you so much for listening and my best regards as we start this school year with our learners. Thank you.
Wow. Hi, Sir Roland.
Hello, ma'am.
Thank you rin,
Really
sir.
very thankful,
Thank you,
sir,
sir.
comprehensive
Yes, sir.
sharing on resiliency. And as said by the participant, very, very helpful. Talagang you really enlighten us, really enrich us emotionally, mentally, physically. Thank you so much. And even if it really plays in our heart and mind.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And naglista ko to, simple things really, but open that kahit simple, medyo nalilimutan natin.
Yeah.
And
Sa,
before we'll
sa lahat ng mga kasama natin.
yeah, before we will have the open forum or the question and answer, Sir Roland, baka at dapat man kayo at nangadamagan. Comment from Ma'am Rosemary F. Manaon. Thank you very much, sir. Your topic is so helpful and fully explained. Kudos. God bless you always. And another from Sir Troy Balagyo, very helpful, anxiety like me. Yan. So at least, sir, we really touch their hearts. You touch their hearts. Now for the participants, Sir Roland is very willing to accommodate some of your queries. The window or is open for any queries. Baka adati kayat yutap no malaganan, tay tarik-rik na tayo. Ang kayo agbain. Sa akin, Sir Roland, may guilt ako.
I-practice mo lang yung no guilt, ma'am.
When nga Rod, lalo ta naka-work from home ako for 6 months.
Grabe.
And always alone at home.
Yeah.
Facing 4 walls, talking dito yung screen, smile.
We have really got to sing with that kind until such time. Maybe, I don't know if we really have to be going back to the usual. But yun na nga, we really go to the acceptance stage. I mean, just to share to you, habang nag-uraitan na dati a question.
Oh,
Dahil ko natin,